Good evening, all. My name is Mohammad Sariyou, as you know, and I am from Bulwark. I'm the product manager of Sophos. So the main agenda of this session, as you are aware of that, we'll go through Sophos Central Intercept Advanced with EDR and MTR, how it works, and what are the features, and how we can pitch to the customers. So this is our main agenda of this session. So let me introduce our Bulwark portfolio. So we are here from last 20 years. We are doing only the cybersecurity distribution. We have almost 22 plus technology vendors, which are in that many of them are niche products, and we have office in UAE and India. In India, we have started in 2017, and in Middle East, we have started in 1999. And we have almost 700 business partners across Middle East and India. And we have a good partner record, good distribution record we have, and we have a good technical people who can handle the POCs. So we have been here from last 20 years. We have around 22 plus products, and our premium product is Sophos and Cyberom. Before it was Cyberom. Now since Sophos has acquired Cyberom, now we have everything. We are migrating to Sophos. So as we have informed earlier, we will be discussing more on Central Intercept X Advanced with EDR. So we have in our panelist Mr. Keyur. He is a senior sales technical engineer. He will be presenting the session. And we have Mr. Gary Pereira. He is handling our channel account managers in UAE and Bahrain. And we have Siju Charian. He is handling UAE partners. And we have Mr. Abbas also. He will be joining soon. He is our channel account manager in Sophos. Okay. So I will hand over to Mr. Keyur.
Yes. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for the session on Sophos Intercept X with EDR and MTR. I will go through the session with all this, endpoint and EDR and MTR together. So we'll go one by one. I'm sure that everyone is aware of the current threat landscape. Okay, what are the trends and what are the current cyber attacks? So I'm not going to cover those particular part because I really wanted to focus on the product and the kind of the differentiating part of Sophos Intercept X with how it can help you to make more strength and security, right? So moving ahead, I would like to know about how many of you are aware of the cyber kill chain. So the cyber kill chain is now nowadays the hackers are well disciplined, they are very organized, and they go and attack to the organization in a very staged manner. Okay, so the solution which you are having should also be able to have a layered approach, because that's how you can protect this type of attacks, the organized, or you can say the disciplined attack which is going from attackers. Okay, so now we talk about the cyber kill chain. They have 7 stages. Okay, we can have a scanning, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and then action on objective. Right now, the solution which you have should be able to support and to block on every layer. Okay, so now I will talk about the delivery part. So it's a very simple, right? Now, if you are browsing an internet and accidentally you are going to some bad website, your solution should be capable enough to identify that this is a malicious website or malicious piece of code can be posted from that website, and it should be blocked. Okay. The second example of delivery which I would like to give you is imagine I wanted to breach your network. So what I'll do is I maybe visit your office physically with some very fancy, nice USB storage drives or USB pen drives. I'll put some on the reception, few in the parking area. Okay. Now, being a techie guy, you might know what could be the repercussions if I plug that USB directly without scanning it from the kiosk machine. But imagine the people who is in the non-technical background, from the accounts, from the HR, or from the data entry operators. What they will do, they will simply pick that USB drive, plug that in a machine, and that's it. I'm the complete control of that entire network, right? So the solution should have a capability of whitelisting and blacklisting the peripherals. They should be able to identify the kind of a bad and good websites. Okay, it should be able to communicate and identify that the good download source, right? Second stage will come as an exploitation. This is very interesting. Okay, most of the vendors, if you see, they always talk about the vulnerabilities and the signatures and the patch and everything, right? We in the Sophos, we take it in a different way. Okay, what we think is, we think like a hacker. Okay, if you see any past breach, okay, you will find that vulnerabilities could be anything. Like, anybody know how many vulnerabilities are there? It's like, even I don't know. So what is the number of vulnerabilities there? Because until and unless it is not disclosed, you don't know. It's unknown vulnerabilities. But if you see any past breach, including the SolarWinds attack, the recent one, okay, you will find these attackers are using the set of techniques, the set of exploit techniques, which will exploit that vulnerability and then give you the access of the systems, right? So what Sophos does, instead of focusing on the vulnerabilities, we focus on the exploit techniques, right? So instead of giving you a virtual patch and the vulnerability signatures, okay, we keep on eye on any kind of exploit technique which has been used to exploit the particular vulnerability in the system. So that's how we can block it, and we can block this exploitation. The third stage, the comes into the installation, right? So now, if any piece of code it gets executed before that, okay, Sophos endpoint will be able to identify that this is a ransomware or this is a kind of malware or something like that. Why? Because we have a technology called deep learning, which is an advanced version for machine learning, where we use a neural network technology. Now, what is this exactly? What I mean is neural network science, right? So imagine, from the childhood, we used to see the cat and the dog, right? Now, over a period of time, we have seen a lot of different cats and different dogs. Now, today, if I bring some dog from all over from Africa and in front of you, will you be able to recognize this is a cat or dog? I'm sure you will be able to recognize that this is a dog, right? You may not know the breed. For example, you may not know that whether it's a Doberman or Pomeranian or whatsoever, but then you specifically say that it's a dog, right? How? Basically, this is how our brain gets trained. It sees a lot of samples and then it records. It records the attributes, it records the properties, and based on that, it will give you a precision of 99.99999%. Okay, that this is for nearly, or you can say absolutely, to this particular object, right? Similarly, in Sophos, we have developed the brain, which we put it on the laptop, on the end user's machine. Okay. Sophos is, from inception, is an antivirus company. So we have millions of malware samples. So we train that particular engine so that any type of threat comes, okay, even though it's a zero-day threats, this engine will be able to identify that particular is a malware or it's a genuine file. Okay. And again, we don't need to push that file every time on the cloud. Okay. This is all decision will be taken on your local computer itself. Okay. So even though if you are not connected to the internet, you are still secure and you are still able to protect from the zero-day threats. Okay. The next stage comes in the command and control. So like, if somebody's get into your machine and try to, have some kind of a credentials, okay, we can still identify those type of techniques and block that particular stuff. Okay. Going forward, if somebody is trying to do the ransomware attack, for example, he's bypassed all the layers. At the end, now he's trying to execute the things, right? As soon as the system will identify the ransomware type of behavior. Now, what is the ransomware behavior? So ransomware behavior is basically it's start encrypting the files. Now, how many files you know that it does an encryption? There are only very few, correct? Or how many applications? There are only very few applications which does encryption. So Sophos knows those whitelist application, and then rest all behavior. It will actually hold that particular application, copy that file into the cache area, then allow that applications to run, and then it will identify whether it's a ransomware or it's a genuine application. As soon as it detects that this is a ransomware attack, it will block that ransomware, clean that files, and then restore back those files which has been about to encrypt from the cache area to the original location. So you as an administrator, you don't need to worry about that particular part, right? So I wanted to connect this entire cyber kill chain to the real life video example. Okay. All right. So if you see here, this is one of the cyber kill chain and how Sophos is protecting. So this is our endpoint agent, which has been installed in the machine. So whatever features I've talked about is all combined in the single machine, right? Now, if you see whatever the feature I have talked about, we can individually enable and disable to identify whether that particular protection layer is working or not. So we are going to do that only on this particular example. Okay. So let's see the first attack, which is a part of delivery. So if somebody has plugged that USB stick in the machine, and then it will give you an error message saying that administrator has blocked the USBs. So only whitelisted USBs allowed. For example, you want only 10 USBs should be allowed in your entire corporate network. It will be allowed. Secondly, we can also block the applications. Like, for example, I really do not want somebody to install the BitTorrent or uTorrent and then download some fishy things and then exploit or allow attackers to exploit the network, right? So we can block that applications also, right? Now this is what the real kill chain starts. So basically, user will receive the phishing email, okay, which will nearly look like a kind of coming from Microsoft, okay, and then it will just try and click that particular URL to patch the OS. As soon as it will click on that, okay, Sophos web protection will come into the picture and it will block that, considering it's a bad website. Because if you see on the URL, you can clearly identify this is a malicious URL which is used to publish the malware. Okay, so now let's go and disable a particular first level of check, that's a web control, so that user will be able to bypass that layer, and we will see whether the second layer is working or not. So as soon as we click on enter, as soon as we enter here, and our deep learning mechanism just kicked in. So before that exe executed, Sophos Intercept tags has identified that this is a piece of malware, okay, by looking at the code and by looking at the exe behavior, right? So now let's go back and check the other things. So the user is trying to click on the HTA script, okay. So as soon as we click on that, again, the download reputation kicks in, because it actually shows that this is not a genuine source of download. So it has already blocked. So now let's go back and disable certain controls like internet scanning, the file scanning, deep learning, okay? And then let's see whether our next layer of protection is working or not, correct? So I'm just putting an enter again, but still I am not able to download that HTA script because my script analysis is triggered. Okay, so Sophos can also check the malicious traffic and the host-based IPS, right? So which will identify the script. Again, the script has a genuine controls or what. So now let me disable this malicious traffic detection and host-based IPS. Now I'll download this HTA script and then I will try to run from the browser itself. Okay. So as soon as I try to run the browser, again, my endpoint has locked down this browser because the browser responsibility is not to run the PowerShell, right? So here you can simply block that and the process is already locked down. But now user is very smart. It will go to the download folder and then run that particular HTA script from that folder. But as soon as he will run that, again the application control will kicks in because it is calling the PowerShell to execute the code, right? So now let's go back onto the control and disable the application control also, so that this user can run that script. So let's go back and disable the application control, and then we will run the application. Now we will run the HTA. So as soon as we run the HTA, it will go into the command and control center, and it will download the ransomware. Okay, but as soon as the ransomware gets executed, Sophos CryptoGuard has identified that. It has restored that files back to the location, and then it has removed this ransomware from the machine. Okay. Now going forward, to be very specific and targeted attacks, I'm sure that everybody knows about the Kali Linux. So as soon as I have run this HTA script, it has created back channel from the machine to the Kali Linux, where I'm running the Metasploit, so that I can identify that which all are sessions running on that machine, and then I can actually do the hash dump to capture the password of that machine, right? So, but as soon as I will try and do this hash dumps on that machine, okay, this machine will stop me, saying that the credential guard is triggered and you are not allowed to capture any type of passwords. Okay, so this is how Sophos Intercept X gives you a layered approach and protection to all the levels. Okay, this is how the granular control you will get it on your systems once you once you have that Intercept X, right? Now moving forward, not only this, again, Sophos Intercept X again a complement with the EDR. So Sophos also has an EDR, which again you do not need to install any other agent for, especially for the EDR. It's just a component. So as soon as you enable the subscription, the component will be installed and start giving you a visibility of what is going on in your network, right? So here with EDR, you will do the complete proactive investigation in your network from where the threat came in, what could be that action on that particular threat. So here, for example, if you wanted to find out some sleeping malware which is there in your network, right, and you really don't know whether this piece of exe or the file or application is fishy or a kind of a clean, right? So what you can do is, with Sophos EDR, you can submit that application or the process or the file to the Sophos Labs to get the Sophos Threat Lab Intelligence, Sophos Labs Threat Intelligence, and then you can identify that whether is that particular file is malicious or it's a clean file. So Sophos Labs will match that particular file with the millions of samples, and then it will identify the behavior of that particular application or file, and then it will conclude that whether it's suspicious or clean, right? That's how the Sophos EDR will help you to identify. Now I really wanted to know that, okay, I found that is a sleeping malware in one machine. I really wanted to know whether the other machines also have a similar type of process or similar type of application. So I can simply go and search. This is called a threat hunting, where I can just put this either IP address or the file name or the hash value, and then I can identify from other machines whether that same type of file is there or not. Okay, so this is how I can proactively search and do the threat hunting in my network. Now it comes to the control, how granular control you can get it of your users. Okay, so here in Sophos we have an option called Live Discover. So now this option will give you a complete control of how exactly your machines are right now. Okay, so whether you wanted to, if you wanted to see that whether the local firewall of that machine is on or not, so you can simply do this Live Discover query and you can get that details. Okay, or else if you really wanted to know what is that what all software is installed in that machine, what is the hardware configuration of that machine, or whether the RDP is enabled or not in that machine, so you can get all this Live Discover queries predefined on the Sophos Central, and then you can get the results of it. Not only that, you can also craft your own queries, and then you can run that on Sophos Central so that you can get the optimum or the results what you want. Okay. Now, but then what's next? For example, I found that one of my user has disabled the firewall, or one of my users has enabled the RDP. How exactly, what should I do with that, right? So the simple answer is that live response. So in Sophos, from the central itself, you can launch a command prompt of that machine where you can take the required action. When action means, if you found that particular user has disabled the firewall, the local firewall, you can simply fire a command from the command prompt or from the Sophos central, and then you can enable the firewall. If you want to uninstall certain software which is maybe cracked or maybe not required, you can simply uninstall those softwares from the command prompt from the Sophos central. You really don't need anything like Zoom or RDP or ME admin. You don't require anything like that. And this is very helpful, because right now everybody is working from home or remote offices. Okay, so that you really don't require that user's intervention. Okay, you can simply fire a command from here, and then the action will be taken on the user's machine. Okay, so that's the kind of control you will get it with Sophos Intercept X with EDR, right? Now, I will give you a demo like how EDR will help you to do a kind of proactive control. Okay, so this is my EDR demo which I'm trying to show you here. Okay, and okay, so this is the kind of an attack which is going on, and this is a phishing mail which is coming on the user's machine. Now users have downloaded that particular file. And the user has run that particular file, which is an HTTP script, and it has downloaded the ransomware, which has been executed, right? But now we really wanted to know what else happened into the network, right? So you can see here that ransomware attack has happened. And now this attacker is trying to connect to the command and control center, which has been blocked by the Sophos for sure. But still, we really wanted to investigate, because whether the attacker has placed some of the sleeping malware in my network or not, right? So I'm just going through that, and then you can see here these are the threat cases. Okay, so you can see the most recent threat cases. I can just click over here where I can get the complete root cause analysis. Okay, you can get the complete details about that, what is going on. Now, because we wanted to do the investigation, first of all, we will isolate that computer so that it will stop infection to the entire network, right? So now I'm just isolating that computer from the central console. Again, I'm not influencing anything on the user's machine. So if you see, as soon as I have isolated that machine, user will stop communicating from the network, right? It will stop communicating, and again, you will get a very good message from the endpoint itself, so that there will be no support call also that your administrator has isolated your machine. So that means it's a clear way of communication. So it will also reduce the support call, right? So now you can see here that the machine is isolated from the network, and then now you will not be able to access anything. Okay, so let's go back and see that what happened to the attack. This is a full graph. We will see the direct graph. So what happened? Okay, so from this particular attack, you can see that the source of infection is coming from Outlook. Okay, so that is an email which has triggered the Chrome, from where it has downloaded the bad script, and the bad script has downloaded or connected to the PowerShell. From the PowerShell, it has downloaded the ransomware exe, and then it has been convicted by the Sophos endpoint saying that it's a malware, it's a kind of ransomware. Okay, so now let's look at the closure look, what exactly this particular machine learning analysis says. So you can see here, Sophos threat intelligence says that it is like suspicious. You can also see the code similarity for 59% of suspicious. So for sure, and 80% of part is suspicious. So that's why it has been convicted as a ransomware. But you can also find there are other similar type of EXEs also. Okay, so we will go and search for those type of EXEs. You will get a file, you can say the reverse engineering also from here. Now we'll go back to the full graph, and we'll see that what exactly attacker has done apart from that. Okay, so we will see here the full graph of the attacks. So Outlook has triggered that Chrome, that is fine, which we already seen. But then what else that particular attacker has done? So you can see here, these are the plenty of IPs they have connected. Okay, and there is another exe, what is called callhome.exe, right? And this callhome.exe is communicating to the many of the command and control centers, right? So this is what the communication IP, you can get it. Now you can see here this call home and ransomware exe is again already dropped and closed by the removed by the Intercept attacks. But there is one more exe, you can see this unknown.exe, right, which has not been convicted yet because it's a sleeping malware. So what we are doing is we are submitting it to the Sophos lab for the threat intelligence, and then now we see this is a what you can say the results we are coming with, where you can see the Sophos threat intelligence says that it is suspicious, and it can say it's quality of malicious, right? So we really wanted to know what else is going on and how, which are other processes are there in the particular same network. So we'll go and search similar type of attack exe. Okay, so you can see here there is a kind of a computer which has a fake malware.exe, right? And then on that you can say on the investigation, the same program has been found on multiple computers. So that means you have multiple computer has that sleeping malware, through which the attackers can again try and attack. So this is what sometimes you see normally, that even though you clean that machine, and then still again the attackers are trying to get into that machine, and again they are successfully able to get into the machine, right? Why? Because of the sleeping malware. Because they not just post that malware, the actual malware, but first of all they will try and push that sleeping malware to every other machines. Okay, so next time whenever they wanted to get back to your network, they can easily get back, right? Now here you can see we have identified that unknown.exe and other machine, and then now we wanted to clean and block, right? So what we can do is we can simply click on that and we will say clean and block. So once we will do that, maybe sleeping malware, okay, so it will be automatically taken care by. Right? So if I say run again, then it will say access denied because it is already clean and blocked. So the user will not be able to run this particular program. That's because it's suspicious, it's malicious. It has been already identified. Okay. So this is how you can do the further investigation. I do not want to spend some more time here, but then I really wanted to go and dig down that how granular level you can do it. So if I wanted to know at what time, which particular file, what is the hash value, everything you will be able to get that details from this EDR itself. So this is how the forensic level investigation we can do with Sophos EDR. Okay. So That is how the granularity you can get it with Sophos, and then you can actually take a control of. All right, so that's the EDR demo. Okay, so that's why we call it the power of plus. So we have all this foundational signature set. We have CryptoGuard for the ransomware. We have deep learning for zero to threats, and we also have anti-exploit for the exploit techniques, right? So in a way, we have bundled the entire solution where we can control, we can do the code execution, pre-execution, and we can give you the response and visibility, right? So that's why Sophos Intercept Tags is kind of rated at #1 in all this third-party analysts, right? Now, the most important part, like you have the EDR, but you really don't know what to do, and most of the time that's an issue, right? And that's where Sophos also provide as a services that is called managed threat response. That's an MTR. So this is over and above EDR. So for example, you have that intercept tags with EDR, but you really don't want to manage your network by yourself, okay, because you really don't have that skill set, okay, then you can go with the MTR services, okay. So in Sophos core security capabilities, we have the core protection, which is intercept tags. We have EDR, which can be like if you are well versed with all the queries and the up to the mark of Sophos threat threat intelligence and the queries, or you can say the threat landscape. So definitely you can go and use the EDR and identify the threats by yourself, okay. Or else you can go with the MTR services, which is coming from directly Sophos, because we have a data scientist, we have threat hunters, we have you can say the security analyst, and then that's how you can identify the sleeping malware, or you can say the suspicious activities of your network, and then directly handled by Sophos MTR team, okay. Now normally whenever you go with the customer, okay, the customer has a challenge, like it is difficult to find out the real people who can actually understand the kind of a threats or the kind of the threat landscape, okay. Sometimes because they are buying a very expensive tools, but then because of the skill set is not there, they are not able to optimizing the tools which can be accessed and used properly, right? So even though they have a very good, because I'm sure that earlier in a past example you have seen there are a lot of breaches happen to the enterprises also. I'm sure that the enterprise are using the best of the breed solution, but still they have failed to protect. Why? Because of the skill set. Okay, skill gap is again a very important part, and that's why they are not able to even though they have a best product, but they are not able to protect against the attacks. Okay, so that's why we need a kind of a person's or kind of a resources where they should be aware of what exactly action to be taken in case of threat hunting, or in case of identifying the threat, what actions needs to be taken. Okay, and that's where Sophos has MTR team. We have 24/7 human-led threat hunting. So we have a group of people who is expert in kind of you can say analyzing the threats and optimizing, and then responding to the threats, right? So Sophos has a three-way of response mode when you go with the MTR services. One is notify. Notify means that once the detection happens, okay, you can go with details like Sophos MTR team will provide you the details about what are the priorities, what are the criticalities, and what response needs to be taken care. Okay. Second is the collaborate. Collaborate means like you and me, like you and us are a kind of working as a team, so that we can work together hand to hand, and then we can provide you the report, we can guide you how to mitigate that particular threat. Okay. And then the third level of response mode is authorize. The customer can authorize MTR team to take the independent action in case of they found a threat. Okay, so that's how the three mode you can get it on Sophos. MTR has two offerings. One is standard and one is advanced. In standard, we have following options, that is threat response actions. 24 cross has lead driven threat hunting. We have adversarial detections, okay, security health check and activity reporting. For advanced, it is all including the all standard. Apart from that, we have leadless threat hunting. What is the lead driven and leadless? So basically, leadless means the MTR team proactively keep on checking on your all network continuously about any kind of suspicious activities. Wherein lead driven means in case of any alerts generated, the team will act on it and then it will identify and mitigate the threats. Right? Then on the advanced, we have dedicated incident response lead. Okay, we have direct call-in support with the MTR team in case of any critical issues you will found. It will be scheduled on operational reviews and proactive posture improvement so that the MTR team will evaluate your security posture and guide you what needs to be done. It will also give you an asset discovery and MTR connector so that you will be able to identify what are the assets and what are the critical assets and how to take it forward, right? So that is what the MTR offerings. We have monthly sample reports. So here you can see what is going on in your entire network. So it gives you a complete detail about that, how many detection happens, how many cases have been created, whether there is any escalation has been created or not, or whether you found an incident or not. Okay, so this is how the graphs you can see. Following are the response actions, okay, which will be taken care by MTR team. Either it can be a change of configuration, isolating of the host, blocking the files, run the scan, okay, and etc. Right? This is the weekly report sample which you every week will get it, so that you can proactively see that what is going on in your network. And in case of any kind of a threat is created, okay, you will get a report like, waiting for the client in case if you have not responded to the MTR team. If something is in the kind of, in progress of working, it will show you the in progress results. And if the MTR, if any kind like, threat is resolved, you can see it is resolved, right? So this is how MTR services will work, will hand to hand with the customers, and then customer IT team, and then it will protect 100% in case of any kind of zero-day threats, or you can say that any kind of threat activities or kind of an attacks. Okay, so that's what from my side. It is open for question and answer. So please go ahead, unmute yourself, and we can have a question and answer.
We have one question, Keyur.
Yes.
From Mr. Kamalesh Chandel. Is it possible to get travel history of particular malware?
Travel history of particular malware means like how exactly that malware entered into the network, which all machines or which all file is trying to attack, try to attempt, right? So yes, absolutely, we can see that.
Yes.
How exactly. So this is what the root cause analysis will show you, that how exactly this particular malware entered into your network, which all file, IPs or system has been trying to communicate, or the registry edit been trying to modify. So this is all details you can get it from the root cause analysis.